The UFC strawweight title picture just got a little bit more clear following UFC Vegas 94 on Saturday night. Virna Jandiroba extended her win streak to 4, none bigger than this main event victory over Amanda Lemos, a former title challenger. Is this all she needed to solidify herself as the number one contender for Zhang Weili? I think so. Would you agree? Let's discuss it. In the preview for this card, I laid out what I thought made the most sense. If Amanda Lemos were to have won this main event against Virna Jandiroba, I felt that Tatiana Suarez should have gotten her title shot against Zhang Weili, being that Lemos just fought for the belt last August against Weili and would just be on a two-fight win streak. Yes, she still could have earned her second crack at Zhang, but I would have said Suarez should get in. But I said that if Virna Jandiroba were to win and extend her win streak to 4, all against ranked opponents, she should be the absolute true number one contender over Tatiana Suarez. And here we are today on the recap show. That is exactly what happened. Not only did Virna Jandiroba get the biggest win of her career, extend this win streak over ranked opponents, but she beat the former title challenger Amanda Lemos and finished Amanda Lemos with a submission in the second round. The transition from the back to the armbar was absolutely flawless and beautiful, and it forced Lemos to tap. This was a big time outing and performance for Virna Jandiroba, one that really showed her true skill set in all facets of her game. This fight, for as little as we got to see of it halfway through into the second round, was very competitive, very back and forth. Plenty of back and forth grappling sequences and transitioning that was beautiful to watch. An absolute treat. Submission threats from both women in both rounds and everything in between. But Virna showed that she is just a step ahead when the game gets down there on the ground. She submits Amanda Lemos, and I believe now is the true number one contender in a fresh matchup for Zhang Weili, the current strawweight queen of 115 pounds. And I'd say, being that we're heading into August, this fight will line up perfectly for the end of the year, whether that be a November or December timeframe for Zhang Weili's second title defense of 2024 and Virna Jandiroba's chance to fight a third time this year, get a third victory, and become the new strawweight queen. So let me know in the comments below, do you agree with this title picture now in the strawweight division? Being that Virna Jandiroba got this victory over Lemos, extended this win streak, is she a shoo-in to be the true number one contender? Or do you feel that it should still be Tatiana Suarez? Tatiana has fought twice since her comeback from a nearly 4-year layoff due to injury, but only one of those two fights was in the strawweight division. However, it was a finish over former champion Jessica Andrade. So you could say, being that she's undefeated, right in her prime, she is deserving of being in there next over Virna. But I think after this type of performance, this type of win streak, especially with Tatiana, I think nursing another injury, not as significant as the ones that have delayed her in the past, but still an injury nonetheless, I think Virna should get in there before the end of the year. Maybe that means Tatiana waits out for the winner, or she fights one more time at strawweight just to solidify she can still cut the weight at 115 and compete against the best women in the world. Either way, we have a new fresh face for the champion, Zhang Weili. And the main card proved to have some pretty good performances, some pretty good knockout finishes, so I just want to give those fighters some shine here before we head on out. Steve Garcia has not lost a fight in over 2 years, and he is on a 4-fight win streak, a 4-fight knockout win streak, as a matter of fact. At only 32 years old, 16-5 is the record. I think here at featherweight, he could be getting a chance to crack into the top 15 with his next fight. He knocked out Seungwoo Choi, and it only took 1 minute and 36 seconds. Bruno Silva and Cody Durden had a wild fight down in the flyweight division, as many had anticipated that fight to play out. Thankfully for me, I bet the fight to not go the distance at plus money. Woo-wee! It ended just over halfway through the second round of the fight. Cody Durden looked very good early on. Bruno was having to weather some storms, get through some submission threats, some damage on the feet. but then he absolutely pounced in order to get this finish. And that is a victory now over a ranked opponent. Cody Durden was number 14 heading into this matchup. Bruno Silva has also, much like Steve Garcia, won his last 4 fights. All 4 of them are by finish. He's now going to be in the top 15 come Tuesday morning. Put him up near the top 10 next for his opponents. Let's take a quick look at the rankings here, since this is the only other ranked fight that we had. We look at the people that were ahead of Cody Durden. We have Tagir Ulanbekov, Matt Schnell, Tim Elliott, Matheus Nicolau. I like the idea of Bruno Silva versus his fellow Brazilian Matheus Nicolau next. Matheus has been pretty much one victory shy of getting a title crack in this division. We've seen him fall now to the number 10 spot. Bruno Silva, a heavy-handed hitter that is dangerous, and it would be a fresh matchup being that he's already fought Tagir Ulanbekov back in 2020. I think that is what's next for the Bulldog, Bruno Silva. The Korean Superboy Dooho Choi is back in a big, big way. He just finished Bill Algeo in round number 2. He punched him in the eye so hard that more than likely Bill Algeo's orbital bone gave way and broke, caused him to fall to the ground. That is a victory for the Korean Superboy. As a matter of fact, that is the first victory for Dooho Choi since July 8th of 2016 when he knocked out Thiago Tavares. He had lost 3 straight fights and fought to a draw last year against Kyle Nelson. I believe sandwiched in between there was also the mandatory military time for him and his country in South Korea, but still only 33 years old. It shows that when he debuted in the UFC back in November of 2014, he was only 23 years young. So he's still very young into his career, in his prime, if you want to talk about age for a lot of fighters these days. Yes, he's been in some wars. Yes, he's taken some damage. But with that time away, I think we can still have some very, very fun fights and some very big potential for the Dooho Choi Korean Superboy. Hyder Amil is now 2-0 in the UFC with 2 knockouts. Also a Dana White Contender Series alum. He is a perfect 10-0, 34 years old. 7 out of his 10 victories have come via finish. 6 of those are knockouts. So very heavy-handed, very dangerous. Now at 34, that is a little bit older to have only had 2 fights in the UFC so far. However, it is not too late to make a big run. He got the victory over Jeongyeong Lee, who is a road to the UFC winner back in 2023. So a big time outing. This was an absolute firefight. This only lasted 65 seconds. And I believe they clocked in the finishing sequence for Hyder Amil at 36 or 38 straight punches. A 36 punch combo. No one's surviving that. Cody Gibson handed Brian Kelleher his 4th straight stoppage loss, and Cody Gibson got his first victory since November of 2022. He was on a 2-fight skid over Miles Johns and Brad Katona, so a big victory here for the longtime 2-stint veteran of the UFC. He's 36 years old now, 20 wins, 10 losses to his name, a lot of miles on the tank of Cody Gibson, but an absolutely huge victory that potentially saved his UFC career. And lastly, I want to touch on Miranda Maverick because she got a very dominant decision over Dione Barbosa. She is now 14-5. She's on a 3-fight win streak and won 5 of her last 6 bouts. I said in the preview show, we've seen her face very good competition. She's still only 27 years old. Debuted in the UFC back in 2020 at 23 years old. Her only losses are to all ranked opponents, a 14th ranked Jasmine Jasudavicius and 2 top 5 opponents, Aaron Blanchfield and Macy Barber. And Macy, you could argue that Miranda Maverick won that fight over Macy Barber back in July of 2021. So a potential rematch down the road, but for now, Miranda Maverick should absolutely be getting a ranked opponent next after this amazing streak that she is on. So let me know in the comments below your biggest takeaways from UFC Vegas 94. Do you think that Virna Jandiroba is the next #1 contender for Zhang Weili's strawweight championship, or will it be Tatiana Suarez that gets in there next? Give me your thoughts on that and all of the other big-time performances below. If you enjoyed this recap, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new so you never miss my recaps discussing the biggest results from every single fight card. I also break down and discuss the biggest storylines going into every single fight night, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. Be sure to join the community on social media at the BAJ MMA and follow on your favorite audio listening platforms such as Spotify or Apple. There you can find long form audio podcast episodes that release every Friday and Monday. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video.